This is a really hard time for all of us, but it's a time that can hit some people harder than others. For LGBTQ people, many are living now with people who aren't supportive of who they are, including young people who are now locked away with homophobic, transphobic parents.
I can't imagine how I would feel like if I was stuck with my family right now.
LGBTQ people grow up in a society that often leaves them feeling inferior, internalising it and leaving them with higher levels of mental distress as a consequence, and therefore needing to connect with people who are like them and understand them can be really important.
It's lovely to see people, lovely to actually have a dance, which I can do in my own house because I pretend there's no one else here. It's very good to be with your tribe.
But all the clubs, the bars, the pubs, they're all closed. How do people socialise in the age of coronavirus?
I really value having this kind of safe space, especially within kind of lockdown, to be able to meet other queers and just get my gay on.
So I wanted to explore how members of the LGBTQ communities, even in the age of lockdown, are managing to connect, to dance, and to have a little bit of fun with each other. Hey!
Hello!
Hi!
What is this? Who am I talking to?
How do we answer that? We're Queer House Party.
This isn't then just, is it, about the way like you can still have that kind of party vibe going on. This is something more profound then.
It is something more profound. It's allowing people to sort of dance and feel like a part of a community, which is really important. And it's also, a lot of people are in isolation, either on their own or they've had to go home to parents who might not necessarily be okay with their gender or sexuality or gender identity.
What we found is actually having a kind of digital space is a lot more accessible, and you get people that aren't just like dancing, but they're like watching with their dogs, or you know, people that kind of eating their dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had a lesbian couple on the first night who were isolating in separate isolations, and they said it was like they could go out together, which is really sweet.
If this had happened when you were teenagers, living with your parents, and you couldn't go anywhere, how would that have felt for you, do you think?
Someone contacted us, didn't they, saying I'm not out to my parents and this is a really great space for me. It's providing me with a lot of sense of community.
Aiming to be more and more accessible for people with disabilities as well. So this week will be the first week where we've brought on a BSL interpreter.
You'll get in London and other cities, because of the housing crisis, lots of queer people living with strangers who might be straight, and it's just now they're in lockdown, they don't, not being able to have connections with other queer people.
Well, I could see that in certain situations it would compound like feelings of isolation, and maybe if you're not out, it could push you further away from coming out. It could definitely exacerbate any of those sort of internalized feelings of shame, internalized homophobia, transphobia.
Yeah, I think the queer community has always like adapted against adversity, and I think that's something that plays to our favour in that sense, is that we're used to working with bad situations.
Yeah.
Have your parents tuned in?
Yeah, my mum did.
Celeste had from France. We've had like family and friends from all over the world tuning in, which is cute.
I got a text from my mum that just said, put some clothes
What
on.
are you wearing?
And I was like, thanks for this. This isn't needed now.
I mean, it could be a real minefield. You could have like exes tuning in.
Yeah, that's happened.
But do you think people might meet each other, and then when this nightmare ends, maybe some, pent-up energy will be released?
I've had a Zoom date as a result of it.
Hot. How do you make it kind of try and give it a vibe that's a bit more IRL? It's kind of, this is a real night, you're a part of it.
We decorate the kitchen and we put up some flags and some plants. And that's kind of it.
So finally, right, I'm coming on Friday. I'm feeling quite nervous.
What are you wearing?
I don't know. What should I wear?
Whatever you want.
Whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah, whatever you're happy in.
But also,
Can I go like that?
Yeah!
Hello folks, David here. I'm just getting ready for Online Social Dance Club, which I'm very excited about. So I'm almost ready to go. Just, I think, a little bit of Chanel. Why not?
Tell us about these social dance clubs, because they sound amazing. What are they? What are they all about?
Basically, it's dance club where people come along and they dance, or they watch dancing and throw themselves about the floor. I don't dance a lot because of my arthritis. I could do the voguing. I could
Yeah, you can vote. Oh, that's good voguing. That's
vogue
excellent
sitting
voguing.
down. When you're ostracised, it's quite unusual to find a tribe.
Is lockdown harder for older members of the LGBTQ
Oh,
community?
yes. I mean, a lot of people of my age don't have family support. You know, they're marginalised, and there's people are still very marginalised in their community.
When did you come out? Tell me
Well,
about
I
your-
never came out. I was never really in.
Oh,
You know, I was always just me, which was caused a lot of issues for me, which is why I was basically isolated for so long.
growing up as a queer person in 1970s Scottish countryside is tough.
From the age of about 14 till the age of 40, every single day I would get abuse in the street. I mean, every day. It happened all the time. And I would get, people would shout at me, people would spit at me, people would do U-turns in their car to throw things at me.
Given that huge isolation, the rejection that you went through just because you were a queer person, how important was LGBTQ nightlife?
I remember the excitement there was then, the buzz in your chest of being just with people who were the same as you in many ways, but very different and very diverse. If you follow me through here, you will see where we are going to be dancing. I can tell you that in the 1970s, on dance floors smaller than this, I bounced about with 30 sweaty men, and it was wonderful. Lovely to see everyone. Have fun, enjoy yourselves.
There's these dance clubs, but there are also now these big online raves, club nights. Would you ever be tempted to go to one of them online?
And sit and watch at the rave. Yes, maybe if we all took some E. I've never taken E in my life. Put that in the Guardian. Someone asked me once why I went to dance club, and I told them it makes me happy. And being happy and happiness are things that are so often underrated in our society. Here's to happiness.
I am all set for Club Quarantine tonight. These are the DJs who are going to be playing. You can see here the description. It's going to be fun. Can't wait.
So, lockdown, in my head, I associate with being quite an austere existence. But somehow, you managed to basically live your best life for the first few days. What happened?
Oh God, I went on a week-long bender where I went to Club Quarantine every single night, and I drank a bottle of wine every single night as well. It just left me feeling so bad though. So now I'm kind of play it a bit more easy and only go out when there's a good DJ.
If you weren't able to just party hard and you live alone, what would it be like?
Just me lying in bed every single day. Doing nothing, trying to do schoolwork, just feeling very isolated.
Can you tell me about your own coming out experience?
I was outed by a school counsellor to my grandma and to the entire school.
That's horrific.
And it was quite bad. But the only thing that really kept me sane, although in theory it was a little bit illegal because I was underage, was just going out to all these secret club nights that were organised by just the queer community.
If you'd been back then, if this was lockdown when you were a teenager, without the internet or without these online, you're living with your grandmother, presumably, what would that have been like for you?
Like I said before, I probably would have killed myself, honestly. Because it's only through the internet that you're able to reach out to queer people, really.
Do you worry about young LGBTQ people who are potentially with homophobic or transphobic parents right now?
Threat of violence, threat of self-harm, being potentially thrown out, really. I mean, I was briefly homeless myself. It's hard. Like I said, I can't imagine how I would feel like if I was stuck with my family right now. So that's why it's important to have spaces like this where people can just escape.